Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back. This is me drawing a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle Leonardo, Scribbly. So I did this for a show I do with my buddy Steven Sanchez at Sketch Art of Sanchez. We do a Sketch v Sanchez little draw off, about 2-hour stream. And we each pick a character and then we draw them. In this case it was a Ninja Turtle. I think we both drew Leonardo. This was actually an older pose I did. A little over a year ago. I did a couple, like a cartoony Leo, and I did this one, which is still cartoony, but this has more of like the Mirage Studios shapes, kind of those Miller, the Eastman, Kevin Eastman, Frank Miller hybrid. And so I did this rough pose, and then I just kind of sat on it. And I really wanted to kind of take this to final, you know, do some color pencil, kind of draw through it. And so right now I'm drawing on B marker paper. 8.5 by 11 B marker paper. It has like a slick surface. Really like it for color pencil because it picks up all the scribblies, all the little tick marks. This is a Verithin Poppy Red. Verithin Poppy Red. Also, folks, I'm going to have affiliate links on the bottom of this video. If you want to support the channel, you can pick up all your stuff using those links. That will throw a few bucks my way. But I like this pencil every now and then for drawing. When I want a physical pencil to draw with, I'll go with this, or I'll go with the mechanical pencil, but I wanted a heavier line rather than a thinner line, so I went with the Verithin. I usually do my sketch covers and stuff with this too, so it's not that big a deal. And this is just me kind of working out the shapes, kind of keeping it loose. Not what I would call intricate drawing. This is more like what I would do for sketch covers and convention style sketches and stuff. So still kind of loose. Still kind of not really overworked, but I do love those classic TMNT Mirage shapes, that sort of square head, you know, a little bit of little serious, but a little bit of those Muppet shapes in there. So now you're seeing this is a big ballpoint pen. It's one of those like 4-in-1. They do like 2 or 3 different sets of this. I get the ones with the pink, purple, yellow, blue, or green. This is the pink. It's like a magenta. And it's got a good halftone effect, so you can kind of go over this, the pencils, and it adds color to it. And it's really nice when you start to add color pencil on top of it. You can keep the reds and the warm underneath. It's similar to like in painting, they have like an underpainting. So this is kind of why I add color lines and stuff. So I used to always sketch in ballpoint pen back in college, and then kind of got out of it for a number of years, but got back into ballpoint sketching around I don't know, a year or so ago, and I started doing remarks, like remarks on sketch covers. Those ballpoints actually work really well with acrylic pen. They don't dry out and stuff in the same way that if you use Copic multi-liners. So that's what I'm using here, and I'll go and shade in all the shadow areas and wherever you want. And this is like a second pass at the lines without erasing. I really like drawings that build up layers of texture so you can sort of see through the drawing when you're up close. I think the people who buy physical art like to get a bit more out of it than just some sketch. I like to see layers of texture, construction, all that stuff. And my preferred method is using reds, so rather than maybe blues. But speaking of blues, pretty soon here you're going to see me use a blue Polychromos color pencil to draw the darker lines. Not the final lines, but the darker lines. I really like the way that shell came out, the way it kind of curves. Still has the Mirage Studio feel, but it still has a little bit of that animated flavor. I kind of came up with a bunch of cartoonists in the early 2000s, like Galloway, and the guys over at Let Heavy, Scotty Young. So we're on the same age group. So cartooning is still something that I stick with. Here we go. This is the Polychromos. This is like a phthalo blue. It's a dark navy, but when you put it over the pink, you get a purple color. If you keep going, you'll get the blue. So it's really nice. You kind of get like 2 colors out of it. But what this also allows me to do is to fade out a line and keep the red where I want. And if I want to go black, I can still add a black color pencil or even a black ballpoint to really pop the black color in there. So it just gives you levels of depth to your drawing. I think in color, like I do all my stuff really is shape design and color. Like I care about shape design, care about color. I'm less interested in perfection, line perfection and stuff like that. So now since I'm doing color pencil, I'm doing a little yellow base underneath because he's going to be green. So anytime I do greens, I'll do like a yellow under color, and then I'll add the greens. Like right there, there's some like this is like an olive green. I have lime greens and olive greens, so sort of like cool and warmer greens. Depends on how serious I want the colors to feel. And I work primarily with Polychromos color pencils. They're like an oil base. I like them a lot. I do have the wax based luminaires, whatever, the real expensive ones, and I gotta do something with those. But I just kind of prefer the Polychromos, so I don't know yet. But I love this color. This color works great for Hulk, Savage Dragons, Yoshis, and also like I have this Scribbly. This way I'm using color pencil kind of came to me in high school when I killed my knuckles burnishing. So I found that if I just lightly scribble over and over and over, I can get all these textures. Unfortunately, I kind of got burnt out on it because not burnt out on it, but I did get a lot of criticism in college, and I probably shouldn't have listened to it, but there was like it doesn't look complete, or it looks like I don't know, sketch. So, but in the past several years or so, I've gone back to this, and it's primarily what I do now when I do traditional colors, but I just love it. So it's somewhere between like a street style and a Struzan, like Sam Keith, you know, somewhere between there. A little bit of that Invader Zim, Earthworm Jim, you know, kind of feel to it. And so I'm adding blues into the green to get a secondary dark green color. I'm adding this black right here because the turtles have a little bit of a graphic quality. Like they were inked, you know, back in the day, primarily with ink. So a little bit of black in there doesn't hurt also. But you can see, like, if you look, you get that red warmth in there. You can get that little red glow in the shadows. And so you don't have to fill in everything with black or purple. It just makes it feel closer to an acrylic painting more than, say, a flat mic. You know, when you do marker, things kind of end up pretty flat. Speaking of marker, I added some marker to that shell. That was just to see, this is like an experiment, if I could cut down some of the rendering time. I don't really like it. It worked out for this piece. I'm going to go over these colors. I use these Copic caramel, like I think a 3.5 caramel for the shell, and another light brown. But I just prefer the Scribblies. So there's a couple pieces I've done recently that had some marker. I used to do all marker stuff about 10 years ago. But I thought this one, it might be fun to mix it. I'm not going to do that again. So this piece, I'm happy with the way it came out, but I will not be doing marker. But this is fun. Like I can just go back over the color. Maybe you'll like it. Maybe you'll try some marker. And you can see I can go back over this and add the scribbles right over those lines, and it does build up nicely. But markers just have, for me, they feel lifeless, and I understand that's in my head, but art to me, art is something you feel. So here I'm going to add some blue for his bandana there, right? So if I went back over it again, I would just take the side of the pencil and shade and then fill it in. So, but hey, you know, it was a fun experiment. It still looks good, you know. And now the background, this is Distress ink. Tim Holtz Distress ink pads. There's an oxide. I use the Distress ink pads, not the oxide. And they have these stampers, but they have these long handles on there. So I bought the pads and then made my own, cut out on wood, and glued the foam pads down to each one of these stampers. So that way I can have like 20 of them and keep the colors all their own. So that background is a salty ocean, and this yellow is a scattered straw or old paper. I kind of jump between the two. They kind of look the same. Doesn't really matter. But it's really a great way to get color coverage with these stamps, and they don't add much ink, so they won't warp paper and stuff like that. And I've done tons of commissions and stuff with this. And then this is something new in the past few years I've added, and that's a Posca pens. This all came from doing remarks. Never really worked with Posca pens up until like the last year or so. So when I first drew this turtle, I hadn't even used a single Posca pen ever. So, but since then I have, and I primarily use the 7mm, and I'll also use Thule pens if I want something a little thinner, Thule R pens. But mostly the pastel Posca set is what I stick to, and it's got these cool cream yellows. It's got these lavender purples. It's cool teal greens and blues. So I can just go back over, and this, you know, I just want this sort of, maybe it feels 80s to me. A lot in the 80s there were these like real like scribbly painted abstract paintings you'd always see in offices and stuff. And my father was a security guard, so I used to go to offices at night and I'd see all these paintings. And I know when I look at this, it feels like that, but I can't name the painting. So if any of you older folks out there remember 80s stuff that looks like this, send it my way, because it certainly has a feel. It's somewhere in the back of my head. You know, we sort of we leave imprints. You know, there's imprinted our imprints on our minds, and so it pops back up. Sometimes you'll draw a panel from something you saw when you were a kid and hadn't thought about. So that's a Thule pen right there. And it's actually the same color as the Posca teal green, but I think the tip was not working that night. And you can just get backup tips, and if you're ever getting not a bad flow, you can just replace the nib. It's not a big deal. And this is the lavender. I like this. The lavender came out nice, and it just, I like this Scribbly style. You know, it just makes things feel alive. It feels like the art can just jump off the page. And this is how I see color. Oh, this is fun. This is soft pastel. I don't remember what brand they spent. The Rembrandts, I think. These are the Rembrandts. And so this is an experiment to see, you know, what if I put some soft pastel over this background and kind of smudge? I just want to see what it came out like. And pretty fun experiment to try when you're this far into the piece, but I thought it came out really nice. You can do layers of this too. If you like dilute clear gesso and airbrush, you can get more texture down and do another pass. You probably need a thicker piece of paper, like some 4-ply Bristol would work good for that. I've done that plenty of times with the 4-ply Bristol, but super fun piece. And then what I'll do here, this is just the Posca paint from the pen. I just hold the nib down on a piece of paper, and the ink will flow out. And you can just take a brush and pick it up, and maybe put a little water in your brush to get a little wet, and then pick it up and just splat it down. So you can get some free ink splatters from those Posca pens. And it's nice. You don't have to do any paint mixing or nothing. So you could just as well paint with that. It's acrylic paint, so you know you could paint with it if you needed to. But just wanted to add some splatter, give it that cool little graffiti kind of vibe. You know, I love street art, huge fan of street art. So, but you can see all that combination of the red ink lines and the blue pencil stuff. It doesn't feel like it's just a solid ink drawing. And that's it, folks. Thank you for hanging out with me for these past 10 minutes or so. If you have any questions or comments, I will answer anything you leave in there. Feed the algos, leave me a comment, and as always, folks, be bold, keep cartooning. Peace. What's up, Scribblies? Check it out. I got a new website, sketchcraft.com. I've had the URL forever, but I've been working on my own website here on Squarespace. Look, I got everything I've done in the past 20 years. You want to see spawn kills every spawn? All right, you want to see some concept art, some pages, covers, and stuff that I did from my latest series published by Todd McFarlane and Image Comics? You can check it here. There's tons of stuff, folks. There's tons of stuff in here, not just examples, but concept art. Look, thumbnails, all that good stuff here on sketchcraft.com. Also, I got a shop. If you'd like to buy some original art from me, this is where I put it. And if you're really interested in all the little stuff that I come up with and things that I'm finding out on that don't fit around the channel, just subscribe to my stupid newsletter. It takes 10 seconds. I would appreciate if you check it out, sketchcraft.com. Peace.